Are you ready for this? This is going to be a fun one.
This is going to be fun.
Yes, because we're going to be negative. We're going to use words like hate, because people of the internet much prefer to watch a video about things you hate versus the things you love. And if you want to see the things you love, watch the video before this, which we give a full tour of our 2024 ePro, also known as a GeoPro 19 FBS, meaning front bed slide travel trailer. So now a little bit about us.
So we're Ben and Rebecca, originally from Alaska, where we still have a home. But in 2021, we shipped our expedition vehicle to Europe and have been spending part of each year there. Unfortunately, that left us more or less homeless in the lower 48. So we decided to rectify that this year after spending about half of what this rig cost us in rent every time we came home. So let's get started with all the things we hate about Homer the trailer.
Well, here's where you're probably going to start reading in the comments, you have no one to blame but yourselves. First complaint, we love our 2023 4Runner, but it's not known for being a tow vehicle, which did not leave too many options, hence why we opted for this ePro 19 FBS. So let's head inside where the really juicy hatred stuff is. Well, we have so many items, I made a list on my phone. Let's get started. Poor use of space next to the refrigerator. And we've seen some YouTube videos, and yes, there are some wires and things back there, but that is a giant void that sure could be used for like brooms or coats or even some shoe slots. Next up, this 12-volt refrigerator. 12 volt is great, but this is the noisiest 12-volt refrigerator we've had. And we've had a handful of them over the years. Microwave, it's 120 volt, and right up here, this light is extremely bright. We put a little protective thing over it. And since we are talking about annoying lights, there's a green light coming through the, they call them transformer converters. It's pretty much the battery charger of a mainstream RV, and the carbon monoxide detector. I like to say we opted for the Aurora package because when you're lying in bed at night, the entire ceiling is green. Two more things before heading into the bathroom. This is a refrigerator on-off switch. I personally think it's in a very poor location. Touch wood, if that's even wood. We don't bump it and turn our fridge off one day. It could totally have been up on this nifty little panel to my right. Another thing about this fridge is there's this catch to kind of keep it from flopping open. That's already fatigued, and I have not yet done the fix because we still have a handful of more days in this campsite.
Let's move into the things we hate about the bathroom, starting with they didn't hang up any towel bars or toilet paper holders or anything, except for one in here. And they put it right here. And if this opened, it would slam up against that and break the mirror. Good job. Lucky us, we've already experienced our first leak, and it's from where these fixtures meet these two red and blue lines underneath the sink. So twice now we've woken up to water on the floor in here. This shower curtain is pretty nice. So far, we really like it. Our major concern is we're gonna hate it once it gets dirty, because it looks like a nightmare to take apart so you can wash it. I'm not even sure how we'll do it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Going back into a regular US RV, we knew this next one was gonna be an issue. This is an RV toilet. And it's connected to a black tank. Not our favorite after having the separate tiny or cassette toilet. My next beef, you have to open the toilet to have a look at this, and I'm going to demonstrate it for you. You put a little bit of something here, which, you know, kind of happens. Yeah, it doesn't wash the front of the toilet. Seriously? Ew! Last complaint about the bathroom has to do with the vent here. It is one directional, so it only sucks air out. All of the other RVs we've ever had, they're bi-directional. You gotta fork out a little extra money, but it's not an insane expenditure, and it's just super nice to have it go both ways. We understand this isn't, you know, the top of the line RV, but it's also not the bottom of the line either. So it would have been a reasonable input to go both ways. Simple. Right out of the bathroom, we come upon our thermostat. 90 days in, 10 days of running the heater, we're already experiencing issues. It's acting up. Don't know what's wrong with it yet? Not good. Solar charge controller really leaves a lot to be desired. I'm going to leave this to Ben to talk about a little bit later on, but it has not been impressive. Next thing, and it only affects these 3 cabinets, but there's no struts, there's no magnets. You have to do this. It's ridiculous. Continuing on with the living room, we're here on the couch. Now this first one is not something Ben and I necessarily hated, but Lucia did. Come here. She loves to come across and play with us on the couch, and the old table got in her way and she hated it, and she was always hitting it. So we got rid of it and we just have a little TV tray now. Number 2, and you can't really notice it so much because we have every light in the joint on right now, but it's really dark in this little cubby of a slide. So no lights here, no lights here, just dark in here. So it would have been really nice to have some lights. Last thing for me, when I was sitting over on that side of the couch for the very first couple of nights we had the RV, I slid my hand down the side of the couch and I ended up with a metal shaving in my finger like a splinter. So they didn't, you know, smooth off the edges of the metal brackets on the side of the couch.
I'm going to round the corner into the bedroom, but before I do so, I wanted to talk about the Azdel walls. It's this thing they like to brag about. I thought it was going to be, we thought it was probably going to be a lot better. But what we're realizing is, yes, Azdel, they're composite walls, but the thickness is not there. So we've been exposed to a lot of very nice expedition vehicles over the years that have 2 or 3 inch composite walls. And I'll just say they're nice. They're not as amazing as they could be. And I understand why Lance does double Azdel, because we had a cold, wet, rainy day and all that back wall was just all moist and damp. So kind of disappointing on the Azdel. Moving into the bedroom here. Lucy, pick up your toys. The blinds. Let's do this. Come on, people. Like a 5-cent piece of soft Velcro, which we are going to buy when I can find soft white Velcro, but all the time if there's a breeze. These are making noise. And we personally use this as the head of the bed. I don't think you have to, but the TV's there. It just works. But you have this escapement window for an emergency. You know, emergencies are good and all that, but you know what else to send you to the emergency room? A gouge to the forehead because your arm bumped this. Not a fan at all. One last thought about the windows is it's nice that they're awning style. We really do enjoy our awning style windows in Denny, but those are the dual pane acrylic windows like you see on the Lance, which was too heavy for the 4Runner to tow, so you don't even need to write that one in the comments. We could not do that. And plus, the Lance, if you've looked at them, doesn't it look like it's right out of 1995? But don't worry, there's some things out of 1995 in this one as well. This model and a lot of travel trailers nowadays have these windshields on the front. And oh yeah, you know, if you look great, you can see some pretty trees. But what I see is a magnet for rock chips and another window that is not dual pane and will collect moisture, which, you know, we're gonna probably be home a lot in the winter months, and the condensation moisture issue is a big important factor to us. Above the bed here is this cell phone 5G booster and Wi-Fi booster. You know, truthfully, I don't know who in the past decade has ever relied on RV park Wi-Fi. That is just not important to me. And the 5G booster would be nice, except you have to go and buy the module. So they put this antenna on the roof, but you got to go buy the module. I don't know. I much prefer to bring our own internet. What we would have liked would have been a 14-inch hole for another max fan. That would have created some great airflow through the habitat. Since we'll be living in this trailer full time when we are in America, we highly prioritize quality sleep and upgraded to a much nicer mattress. I imagine the mattress that came with it would be good if you take like a 1-week trip here and there or some weekends, but day in and day out, that mattress did not cut it. Underneath here, I am not going to pull this all the way out. You're gonna have to take my word for it. But under this drawer right there is a square hole in the floor where water lines and electrical infrastructure stuff goes through. It was not spray foamed, so it was a wide open, drafty area for rodents, which we definitely do not want. So I spray foamed it in, but we're going to be storing this thing when we're in Europe, so it's going to be somewhere for months upon end, and finding a wide open gaping hole just was very disheartening. There was another drain hole underneath the kitchen that went through the floor. That was sealed. There's a gray tank in that wall, vent to the roof, and a black tank kind of behind the fridge. I have not disassembled the walls yet, so I do not know if there's spray foam around where they cut through the floor for those, but mice in RVs is a problem, and it's good to have a fully sealed unit.
Let's kick off this next round talking about the heating system in the RV. It's the propane heater, which is standard in American RVs. Quite frankly, after living in the expedition vehicle, we've gotten really used to diesel heat, and we don't enjoy the on and off, the instability of how warm it is. It gets cool, it's hot, it's cool, it's hot. And then also these walls are thin, so it just never, it's not enough. What we've done is purchase, and we did this in Nelly, our old Class A. This one's much smaller. It's a 700 watt electric oil filled radiator. And we use this because it gives off a consistent, soft, really lovely warm heat. And we don't have to listen to the on and off, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold. It's just so much better. So enough about the heat. Moving on to the wardrobe. Looks great, right? Huge, lots of storage space. Not so much, because there's no organization to it. You can't properly utilize it. And what we're going to have to do is build some shelving in here. We just have to get to a place where we have access to saws and all the things you need to build it, but it's really unpleasant. Let's just say that. Unpleasant. And it's extremely narrow. It's only 9 inches deep. So finding any prefabbed things, I have looked and looked and looked, and nothing will fit. So it's beautiful, but useless. Moving up to the entertainment center, we're kind of excited about this. It has it so that you can connect your phone and play your music over the speakers, and it has some extra surround sound stuff. We thought it was going to be great. And it's a big TV for an RV, and it's 12 volt. However, it does not have a sleep timer, which in our house is something valued. And the software on the TV was so bad, you'll recognize what is here now. We actually broke down and went and bought an old Roku stick so that we could just have the TV function, because it was always going off of the show we wanted and ending up on some different setting, and it drove us absolutely nuts.
Before we head into the kitchen, let's talk about this Coleman Mach air conditioner. Yeah, it's nice. It keeps us cool when it's hot, but it is still very archaic because it does not have a soft start. Yes, it is currently only designed to run if you're hooked up to shore power. It is possible to have this tied into your batteries if you go in and tweak things, but what you're going to need is a soft start. It's such cheap stuff and technology to add from the get-go. I think almost all air conditioners in RVs really could use a soft start, especially if you would like to run your RV off a generator. Because when, if you're familiar with air conditioners in RVs, they clunk and they hit hard. And that is what is going to cause problems when you're running it through an inverter or through the Honda type of generator. Well, let's get real juicy here in a minute, but some piddly stuff. Behind the stove, they have this void of space. They thought it was a good idea to, let's do a knife rack. We don't store our knives there, but what would have been nice would have been a nice molded tray so you could maybe put like wine or avocado oil, olive oil, just tall things. I really do think the space could have been far better utilized. Over here, I don't know if this was the Forest River's attempt at tapping into the craft beer drinking demographic, but you put a bottle opener right there. You didn't hang our towel bars, but you decided to screw a bottle opener into the counter. Just saying, that could have been put somewhere else, or depending on what you drink, not put anywhere at all. This drawer, I just opened it and it acted fine, but it's acting fine right now, but there's a gash from the assembly of the trailer in this slide over here. And when you don't want it to, it acts up and sticks, and you kind of have to just finesse it up. So kind of frustrating that they nicked it during assembly and did not replace it.
We'll finish up a couple of other little things in the kitchen later, but we wanted to talk about major malfunctions in the joint here, starting with electricity. Remember that this is a 2024 model. 2024. I'm going to show you, if I can do this right. There we go. The only USB.
There it is. Oh, I found it.
One USB, one USB-C. That's it for the entire rig. I don't know about you, but we have more than 2 things to plug in with USB outlets. So yeah, super duper disappointing for this day and age. Number 2, when it comes to electricity. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, not so bad for the number, but you kind of saw the locations of them. Not great locations. So, and really not enough either. Just not enough. Not enough in the kitchen. Nothing in the kitchen. Nothing on my side of the bed. I've actually bought a little battery box in order to be able to charge my things on my side of the bed at night. Weird places, like nothing over here and nothing over here or anywhere back here in the kitchen. So we've sort of fixed it with one of these, which you're really not supposed to plug in like heating elements to. So it's kind of a hazard.
The USB outlet situation is fixable. I'm no stranger to tapping into 12-volt wires and adding outlets. We do have 3 of them, just haven't gotten around to that yet. But let's get into one of the more big things that irks me. And what I'm talking about is this archaic, but yet oh so modern control panel. It has an app, so you can turn lights on and off, water pump on and off. But you know what you can't do? You can't get an accurate number on your batteries because you still have 4 bars. Really, is the American education system so troubled that we can't get Victron grade electronics that actually give you a number like, hey, you have 68% of battery remaining, which also kind of is the same thing. This is the GoPower 30 amp solar charge controller. And I had high hopes for this as well after having Victron components in our other campers. But once again, you have a status for your battery, 4 bars. There are these things called numbers, 0 to 100, and they give you far more information. The biggest of the major malfunctions with this camper has to do with the entire sink in general. So yeah, our compromise was not a lot of counter space, and we accept that. But what you got to see is this sink is not very deep, and the distance between here and here is quite large. So what happens is whenever you're doing dishes, water gets everywhere. And you really have to pay attention, because what's going to happen is you're going to come out looking like you peed your pants. Now, trust me, that is no fun.
The kitchen sink is so bad that we had to each have airtime to share and air our frustrations. This is mine, 1 of 2. It goes all over the back of here. I am forever, I'm not exaggerating, forever, every day, over and over and over, drawing underneath everything, off of everything, all the way back to the windows, and underneath. Look, see, there you go, water. And I don't even think I got that back there this time.
You actually flooded it quite well for the demonstration.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a little dramatic, but it's not really like, this is how bad it is. All right, so that's number 1. This is number 2. And I'm really not OCD, but I actually use either one of Ben's flossers or a Q-tip, because stuff gets stuck in here and it builds up really bad. So now, like, every week I do this, at least a couple times a week, so we don't get all that grime built up in there. That's ick. Just ick.
So if looking like you pissed your pants after doing dishes is not enough, the last major malfunction has to do with Lazy Days RV dealership in Elkhart, Indiana. And we had a horrible experience with our salesperson. And if you want to read more, you can look at their Google review. I left a nice little shortened version of our experience, and it will let you know kind of the integrity of the dealer that we were working with. But on a positive note, it was like $6,000 less in Elkhart versus on the West Coast.
This is the part of the video where you might start to notice that bit of sarcasm Ben mentioned at the beginning. We are huge fans of all of the stickers that they put on our rig to make them look so pretty. They're everywhere. It's Ben's favorite thing. It's one of the reasons we picked out the rig. The other thing over here, and you're only going to see this, it's the bar that these two things sat on, but there was a really nice little table and griddle that attached here and stored in the front compartment there. It's not that they weren't nice, it's that they weighed way too much, a lot. And weight is really important to us, and we just didn't value them enough to keep them in the rig. We wanted things we actually really wanted. And to that end, there is also this really nifty bike rack here. 2 problems with it. 1, it wasn't probably strong enough to hold electric bikes. And number 2, it just added weight to the rig. And if you've traveled in an RV at all, you know that keeping bikes on the outside of your travel trailer or RV motorhome, they just get beat all to heck. And so we took it off. As much as we'd like to have some bikes with us, we're gonna have to figure out somewhere else for them to go. It wasn't gonna be here. And that freed up a little bit more weight for us too. Fun fact on all the things we ditched before we hit the road with this thing, we probably gained somewhere around 80 pounds of carrying capacity by getting rid of those things. Now here's my biggest beef, because I screwed up the other day since this was the case. The water is clear up here. And I understand why. It's because the water tank is there. The electricity and the sewer are clear back here. How often have you been to an RV park where you can get only so far back, so you can hook these up, but not far enough back to reach the water, and you end up having to carry an extra long or another water hose, which is why we're not hooked up to water right now, because we don't want to deal with that. So we just fill it up when we need to because it's too far away. If you followed us for very long at all, you probably picked up on the fact that we're really not fans of RV black tanks anymore, or RV toilets. We like those separate tinies. This is part of why we don't love this system. It's messy to deal with, for one thing, and you have to go to a dump station for it versus just anywhere you can dump a cassette or a separate. And this hangs so low, like if you bumped something on the road, you could tear up your whole system here. Needless to say, a separate tiny is in the future of Homer's life, and all of this is going to be revamped so we just deal with our gray water from here and don't have this low-hanging stuff. Final exterior beef we have with this rig: no rear stabilizers. It's very noticeable. Almost everybody who owns these seems to add them when you look at the groups. It's bad enough that just Lucy, who weighs 15 pounds, can be inside and make the trailer shake if she jumps off the bed. So definitely something else we see fixing in the future. Apparently they don't put them in because of the location of the axles, blah, 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 but a lot of people put them in aftermarket.
Okay, that's a wrap for everything we hate about our mainstream built Forest River ePro 19 FBS RV travel trailer. Did I get all that out?
I think it was a mouthful.
Yeah, so I hope you guys found some value in this, because when you're looking at things, everything has a perspective and ours is unique. And you want to look at many perspectives when you're looking at buying RVs, so you can then gain your own opinions. So that's the gist of it. We had a little fun bitching and complaining and doing all that stuff, but we're not normally like this. It just gets views.
Yeah. To that end, we actually have really enjoyed this travel trailer. Denny's much smaller living space, and this feels almost palatial to us. I can't believe I'm saying that, because when we started RVing, I said we'd never do something this small. We really actually have enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, and we've been accustomed to smaller living conditions, so if we get too far away from each other, like we rented that house in Kansas, sitting across the living room, Beck's like, "You're sitting too far away from me." In the campers, I'm sitting too close to you.
You're never gonna win.
Exactly. Well, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button and do all that other nonsense, and we'll see you on the road.
Bye.
Oh, the things we do to make points in videos. Like, I got my britches all wet for this video.